Yeah, okay, like that.
Hello, everybody. Today we're meeting with Ellie Connard, CEO, founder, creator of Artistry. Ellie, tell us about who you connect, how do you match people, and for what purpose?
Haha, okay. Well, working in the entertainment industry, there's a lot of ways to put people together for a lot of different reasons. I specifically focus on casting and production. So, matching talent with roles, for example, like an ordinary casting website, but better and easier to use, or crew members to a, a set, or an investor to a project.
And how did you get started in this industry? What inspired you?
My having to actually deal with this industry inspired me. And a combination of that and one of my favorite people on the planet, Eric Roberts, who really did it a different way in terms of the casting. He sort of went on his own, to find roles and outside of agents, outside of, your normal Hollywood prescription for success. So I learned from that and I realized there was something to it. So that's kind of where I started out doing this, and also just industry pain points, right? Like as a producer myself, I recognize how difficult it is to get through all of the red tape for everything. So I wanted to create a system that was more accessible and affordable and, all of those beautiful things.
A life of entrepreneur is always filled with challenges. Still, you stay motivated. You full of passion, as you say. Uh, do you enjoy the industry? What you do?
I love what I do. I love entertainment. I was born into entertainment. It's been my home for as long as I can remember. My mom would probably disagree that it's great, but but that's a parent for you. My dad, on the other hand, who was a famous musician back in the '70s, totally loves what I do too. um, the I think entertainment is brilliant because there's two sides of it: creativity and business, and I think it prepares you for both. Being involved in the entertainment business is literally that: entertaining and business.
And family
Since we're
supports
talking,
you. It's perfect.
family support is crucial. It's crucial in anywhere you go. Since we're talking about the industry and your experience in the industry, Ellie, can I ask you what is the main problem that you're trying to solve right
Wow,
now?
that's a big question, but I
Yeah,
think
like high level, if you can.
right,
Yeah.
right. The function I'm trying to sort of repair, I would say, is Hollywood of late hasn't been that great at seeing the forest through the trees, right? So I think there's a lot of things and people who are overlooked pretty regularly in entertainment, and I think that that's part of the reason why we keep seeing a lot of reruns lately, or remakes of old stuff, because there's not a lot of new blood of any kind, whether it be content or talent, coming into the industry. And it's a little bit because it's been walled off in some strange ways. And a good example of that is, of course, Netflix, where, it's well known amongst filmmakers that you cannot get to Netflix unless you know somebody there, right? And it makes it sort of this, like, holy grail kind of situation. But it also means that 90% of all people who make films don't make their money back. And it also means that actors are sitting there for 15 years, 6 hours a day, for 7 days a week, stalking casting websites because they are always 3001 in line, right?
So would you say, Ellie, that you are trying to disrupt and change the way the entertainment industry is um, matching talent
Oh,
with?
100%. Yeah, of course. Because I think if you want Tom Hanks, but you can't afford Tom Hanks, right? You should be able to get somebody pretty easily who is comparably skilled to Tom Hanks. So that's kind of what I set out to do. Is I don't want to say get you the budget Tom Hanks, but I mean, in a sense, that's the real answer.
You seem to be to have a to aim to democratize
Yeah,
or
I think that
optimize.
evening the playing field is a huge part of why I'm doing what I'm doing. I think I got tired of people feeling invisible. I mean, for real, I know what that feels like as an
Maybe
actor too.
lowering this component of, okay, it's like we had in the similar situation in recently in HR field, Arthur, we were interviewing, remember? So people who graduate from universities have the same issue, like it's about who knows who, right? So it's the same issue here. So matchmaking then, is this correct that you are betting on the matchmaking process or methodology and technology to level up the field between the talent and the movie
Break the
producers?
wall.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's really important though, for especially for actors, for unrepresented talent all over the place, who can't get a job, for smaller agents who can't get through the noise on these websites. There are algorithms literally running the world right now, right?
Yeah.
But they are working against people in some manner or form, and in this case that's really vicious, and people who have really worked their entire lives are just invisible. So I really wanted to change that. I mean, I think talent deserves to be recognized, no matter who you are, and that's important to me. But I think just bringing some creativity and blood and heart back to the entertainment industry is also really important.
New blood, right? New talent, exposing new talent. um is there maybe a recent success story, maybe a favorite story, maybe not success but a favorite story you can tell us about, an introduction or a match that you made,
Yeah,
or is it
yeah.
too early, to?
No, I mean I can to a point, right? Because I think beyond Titanic 2, which was our test project that we put on the thing, right? That's Milan's fault. But in any event, I think one of the coolest things that I've seen happen was the population of these groups of people where you can see the flow. Like it all runs downhill, as it were. But to watch agents be able to populate their clients into the system, to watch agencies put their agents, and to see how that tier of people, which is the way Hollywood's meant to work, right?
Yeah,
Um,
the way originally it was supposed to work.
right. And I think that's probably the biggest success. I think also having found something completely random that maybe wasn't initially applicable or like relevant to entertainment, but I found the way to, so that therein lies a match, right?
Are you
I
referring to populating the database and the profiles into your SmartCast smart match system
Yeah, and watching it work,
and
right? Like
watching it work as
watching
we speak?
watching us actually pull off matching people to roles, and seeing that in real time is pretty cool.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you for sharing that. That's inspiring for us and hopefully for our viewers as well that are watching this and thinking, how can I do the same in their respective industry? One example today, I talked about HR industry where they're doing it with the graduates and
Mhm.
careers. Here's an example in your industry, in entertainment, and I believe it's just fill the blank industry name.
Yeah, I think it actually is way broader applicable than like it's there's one thing that people always are going to need, right? And that is a way to put things and other people and whoever, together, right? Like it's always better that way. We always need something or someone
The
else.
impact of matchmaking can be huge. What you're saying, right? It's
Right.
like
Yeah.
it's what actually brought you to us and
Mhm.
inspired me from the beginning when you said, guys, like it's matchmaking, it's huge, and now we're diving into this a little more detail today. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And
So
talking about
Art is gonna
how
take
you got
over.
started, I want to return to that for a quick moment. How was your toolkit looking like when you just began your journey as a matchmaker? Before we met, did you use maybe Google Sheets or maybe Salesforce, pencil and paper? Which tools did you use?
You
I
can
love
tell us
Pinterest.
your story also. Sorry to interrupt, but you can tell the story about the technology,
Oh,
disaster you had. This will be
The
good
whole
yeah.
for other
journey,
people to hear.
yes,
So
it's important.
before Smart Matchup.
Yeah, actually, this is kind of probably an interesting story for most people. Maybe not everybody, but when I started out this, I went and I hired developers. Um, I interviewed hundreds of developers, and I went with a company in Chicago. 3 months later, I had nothing, but had paid them up front. Don't do that. Like, it's a bad idea. They did nothing. They kept my money. It was a lot of money. I felt basically crushed by the whole thing because it at that moment was like me against the whole world, basically. And I had no real way to handle it or deal like with what was happening, and nobody really wanted to get involved or help out or whatever, and it was like everybody's hands were tied. So it was a very frustrating moment in time, and a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, who is also somebody I would definitely consider a mentor in business, Steve Austin, who's like the greatest sales guy who's ever lived, I think, probably. Of course, save Arthur. But anyway, he told me a story
Can you make
about.
an introduction for us on LinkedIn?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's fantastic, and he actually he runs an incubator out in Silicon Valley. But he told me a story about when he first was getting started out sort of on his own, and he was working on this company, with somebody else, and they kind of had like this weird falling out, and they knew they were both going to be at the same trade show. And this guy, the one he used to work with, right, he had pretty pictures on boards at his booth in the trade show. Well, Steve went to like the hardware store, got some stuff and some knobs and some turny things and all this stuff, right, buttons and whatever, and he put them together, and you could touch it and you could make it do stuff, and it was functional in some display manner or form, right? And he ended up getting all of the attention at this trade show. And the next trade show, he like brought in a crane with like an even bigger version of this crazy thing. And what he did in that moment was think outside the box. Instead of just putting it on paper and making it look so like boring and professional, and which maybe works in some situations, he gave people something that they could touch.
Yeah.
But he didn't do it in a conventional way. It's not like he bought a thing or had it built or any of this. Like I said, hardware store, knobs, buttons. Yikes. So
So,
when he said
when
that,
you started with this project,
yeah.
you were at the beginning of it. You met some. You were fortunate enough to meet some new people. What technologies you were trying to use? What tools did you have at your disposal?
Well, I think that the what Steve taught me in that story was how to apply different versions of technology, right?
Different. Okay.
And so that's where you guys came in, because I started looking for knobs and buttons at a hardware store instead of looking for a way to like custom build something that really I knew already existed, right?
So you were trying to build a custom matchmaking system for entertainment industry on your own,
Right. Right.
and that you run into a problem. Can you tell us a little bit more about what was the problem? What
Well,
was
the problem was that I hired the wrong people, obviously, and it was just a lot of fallout. It was a lot of drama and a lot of fallout.
they
But
did not deliver what they were supposed to
they
deliver?
didn't do anything at all. I think I did get one like WordPress template sent to me once, but that was it. That was it. They did nothing at all, but they
So
did take my money.
it took they took the money. Let's, I guess we don't want to spend the say the numbers here, but they took, from what I heard from you before the interview, they took a lot of money,
Yeah.
and they didn't deliver anything. So that's when you realize, like, you have to change the way you build
Right.
technology.
And for me, what part of that meant was doing it in a timely manner. So by that point, I was already months behind schedule. right? I had already pitched this as a certain timeline. There were milestones, like all of this stuff, and I was now 3, 4 months behind, and also on the verge of like throwing in the towel, because what are you going to do in that situation where, like, great, I'm out of money and I have nothing to show for it? So I went online and I started looking for other ways to apply, like, what is this comparable to? I started out with real estate, thinking maybe because agents have houses that they represent, whatever, that maybe that was comparable. It didn't really
So
pan
you
out
were
that way.
trying. It's funny. It's not actually an unusual thing how customers find us. They are trying to find some sort of analogies in other industries. Like they come to us say, "I want it like in the dating industry, but for HR. I want the matchmaking like it would work in one industry, but for my industry. Analogy. They try to get to that point. Like that's how you found Smart Match App.
Right, that is how I found it. But I think that's an interesting point, though. Too, I think you get people. You have to be in a certain mindset as an entrepreneur or as a business, anybody, right, to want to think outside that box. Because sometimes it does work to just go straight for the thing and do it whatever by the script, but not always. And so you have to be in an interesting mental place. And I think a lot of the people that you end up with, if they're not originally setting out to be matchmakers per se, I think a lot of the people you end up with are in that unique headspace, and that makes you guys pretty interesting in that way.
Can
Without
I
reinventing
ask
the
you a little
wheel.
more
Yeah.
without
Mm,
yeah, so matchmaking system without reinventing the wheel. Can I ask you for a little more, if you don't mind, to dive into a little bit more about in the technology with us, with the matchmaking CRM Smart Matchup? Is that okay?
yeah.
Just so understand that. So at the moment, when you are logging into Smart Matchup Matchmaking CRM, what does your day look like? What does your process look like? Maybe share this with other clients. Maybe they'll find something useful there in terms of what it looks like, what it feels like.
Well, I'm generally like looking to either upload new data, import lists of people, or, add different features to what I'm trying to put together. So, for example, recently, like, we added the investor matching aspect of it, right? Which we're now trying to figure out, all of the ins and outs and what people are looking for and what projects are looking for investors and investors are looking for projects. And we had the actor aspect, right? And so I go through these things, I do the research, I try to put them in. I'm not great at data input, as we all know. So, I mean,
You're the
there's
creative
that.
type. You're the
But
creative.
Milan has been very, very sweet about helping me.
I was
um,
gonna ask you, how was your experience with Smart Match App Service team as of
okay, first of all, you guys are humans. I think that's really important. Um,
we're not bots, that's for sure.
yeah, you're not bots, right? I know all of you. I think I think that's neat. I think feeling like you're welcome and you're a part of something is important, especially when you're coming off of an experience like the one I had with the developers in Chicago. To build that trust back is a pretty powerful, game changing situation, and that's what you all did for me. I mean, I think that above all else, regardless of how effective the technology is, which it is, um, I think the more important part of this is that Arthur always answers the phone.
Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing that.
Yes, even on the beach
Arthur, it
on
makes
Sunday.
your day, right?
Hello.
It makes your day to hear that.
I mean, personally, I'm not sure I would put my own number on a website, but I get it, right? Like, I just think it's really amazing that you kept the human aspect to this. I I believe that to be huge, especially in entrepreneurial endeavors, because I mean, you often feel alone when you're starting a business. It's like the cringiest, most lonely thing on the planet, really. Nobody really understands it. Half the world thinks you're crazy. You kind of think you're crazy, or at least wonder if you might be. And there's just a lot going on. And to have people on the other end of that help ground the situation is humongous.
Tell me about that, actually. Yeah, starting the business and the whole entrepreneurial journey. It's a whole other podcast.
Yeah,
There'll be
it
another
is. I mean,
movie
one where
about
we would
this.
do a lot of screaming and pillows.
I have a
Yeah.
title for potential
I mean,
movie:
you
The
both
Path
know,
of
right?
Entrepreneur.
The path
Right.
of
Yeah. No, that would be interesting, actually. I mean, it really would. I don't think many people understand business. They think they do. They think they do. But,
there are enough crazy entrepreneurs out there, so
right. Yeah, but we have to find one another is the key,
we have
right?
to find one another, yeah, and then hit it.
Right.
Um,
Right.
I guess I'd like to pass to Arthur. He has a couple more questions. I mean,
I,
I
I
could
do
keep
have loads
asking
of
so many questions.
questions. Future. I would like to talk about future. We talk about the past, Christmas Carol. We talk about the present. Now the future comes. What is your vision? What is your strategy for the future? Let's take 5, 10 years.
Okay. So in 10 years, I want to have actually successfully re-standardized the process and rehumanized the process. Yes, by using technology to do so, of casting and production tools type stuff in within entertainment. And I think bringing the human aspect back to the point I just made before, that you guys are human and Arthur answers the phone. I mean, you that's unheard of in entertainment, as weird as that seems, because it's, after all, a human business, no? But it's become less than that. And I want to bring that back. And so 10 years from now, I plan to be the standard, to have really repaired the faith that talent, that agents, that the people who call the entertainment industry home, you know, renew their faith in the way we do our jobs, and the opportunity that exists on the other side of that casting situation, rather than being in a position of looking at this going, why bother? I don't want the why bother, right? In 10 years there better not be a why bother.
This is a grand plan,
And you're
and
hoping to be
absolutely,
clear as a
absolutely,
as a day,
it
and
will work
it's
out.
inspiring as a day.
You have a strong team behind you. It's us. We will take care of you. We work with tons and loads of clients, and you make us better. It's always a two-way street. What role do you think technology will play in your grand plan for the future?
Well, I think inarguably, yeah, but inarguably technology is playing a huge role in everything, right? And I think, as somebody who's willing to tolerate that, right? I might be unique. There's not a lot of people in entertainment who are particularly fond of technology. But I think that if I can manage to grow with the growing tech of the world, and to really kind of apply it in a, like I said, human way, kind of, right? Where, so that technology is there to support the people, right? Because creative arts are creative arts, and that's a people thing. But if we can focus on loving the creative part, right, and let the technology do the technology part, wouldn't that be brilliant?
It'll be phenomenal.
I
Our
wonder.
dearest Ellie, God bless that you joined us, allowed us to interview you. It's you making world a better place. I sincerely wish and hope we have more people like you. And I absolutely agree. It's all about breaking the walls between people and technology. Now these days, it's all corporate. You cannot find human support anywhere. You go to a website, it's bot. It's a copy paste messages. There is no phone, and if there is, you have to wait for 30 minutes at least and not get any problem solved. And I believe, at least I hope, we a little bit inspire you every time we answer the phone, so you would do the same. Um,
Yeah, you and your happy Monday.
Happy Wednesday today. Today is Wednesday, October 2nd.
Right.
In Greece, we're shouting from Greece. Ellie is in Hollywood. Tim is in Montreal, Quebec, all around the world. Um, Thank you for joining us today. I have one last question. Is this okay for you to share contact details? You never know. Maybe a producer will
Yeah,
watch this interview. Maybe a few actors would watch this interview and would like to reach out to you to sign up for your program. And how can they?
yeah, okay. So contact details on Instagram. I'm Triple Threat Ellie, which is pretty easy to remember.
Yeah.
Um, my email, Ellie at actownmedia.com. That's another great way. I'm also on LinkedIn. Just look for my last name, which is Connard, and you'll find me because there's like one of me, you know? Or, well, maybe three or four, but I don't know who they are, so it's fine. In any event, I do want to say one more thing though. I think the value here is greater than maybe we got to or can get to in this conversation. But I think that the option to grow in what you do and the option to do it with people who support you in that is just this like monster like mountain that a lot of people don't ever get over. And it's such a great refreshing thing to have people who believe in dreams, because like there's so many actors out there who have been literally living based on a dream for like their whole lives, and that's all they really have every time they apply to those hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of roles on these casting websites, and there's really no hope in it. But bringing that hope back is brilliant, guys, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for believing in my purpose here, and for being humans.
God
That's a
bless you,
perfect
Pat.
ending for being humans. I hope that we will figure out the balance between the technology, because we all agree here technology is here to stay. It's how you humanize the technology, it's how you use it and blend it with our ingenious humanity. It is ingenious, yes. It's also can be the opposite sometimes. We do bad things just like we do good things. um, but I think there is hope when I speak to people like you, Ellie, and I speak to other entrepreneurs, bright people driving the humanity forward. I regain my hope and regain my dreams, like you said, every single day. Thank you also for your time today, for sharing your wonderful vision and your strong character. I believe in you. I believe in your vision, and I believe in entrepreneurship. So we will figure this out, like we have for how many thousands of years already. I believe that the future is bright. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Whoever is watching it, check Ellie's Instagram account. Connect with Ellie. And for whatever the industry you are, even if you're outside of entertainment industry, I believe there's always networking is wonderful. Sharing ideas, connecting, making relationships across the industries, across the world, across the digital realms, you name it. Please connect with her. She is brilliant. Thank you very much. And cut.
And bye bye for now. And let's all of us stay for behind
I
the
used the
scenes.
right word in film industry, and cut.
And cut.
Cut.
Yep.
And